Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about the male gaze, the female gaze, the gaze in general, and what the heck that even means, and why the heck are women attracted to dad bods, and why are men so mad about it. I want to make a disclaimer before, going into the rest of this video. This is just kind of speaking about my opinions, and obviously this is not about every single man or every single woman. It's called generalization. We all do it, okay? I just want to take a dip into this topic because I just have a few observations. Just a little dip, a little skinny dip, if you will. I did want to mention that today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. On my channel, I talk a lot about mental health, and I'm pretty open about my own mental health struggles, and that's why I'm so excited to be working with BetterHelp. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists that are trained to listen and to help you. Talk to your therapist in a private, online environment at your convenience. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's over 20,000 plus therapist network that gives you access to help that may not be available in your area. You just fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Then you can schedule your secure video and phone sessions. Plus, you can exchange unlimited messages, and everything that you share is completely confidential. Me and a lot of my friends actually go to a therapist, and it's been so beneficial in our lives, and I can't even think about going back to not having one. You can request a new therapist at no additional charge anytime. Join the 3 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced BetterHelp therapist. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Nicole Rafiee. It'll also be linked down in the description. Thank you so much, BetterHelp. Okay, so recently I've seen the rise again in the love for dad bods online. If you don't know what a dad bod is, you know what a dad bod is. Next trend I want to see is some appreciation for the mom bods. I'm literally only a mother to Clementine, but I'm still rooting for the mom bod appreciation. Thank you. If you guys didn't know, the past few videos I've basically made Stranger Things reviews and commentary, etc., etc. And so I've had to really dive into the Stranger Things fandom, I guess you could say. And Jesus Christ, people want Dad Bod Hopper back. People are mad that Dad Bod Hopper is gone. And what I see is a lot of women talking about liking dad bods, appreciating dad bods. And you would think that more men would be happy about this, or, appreciative of this, and feeling okay, women are embracing more body types. But instead, it just kind of fuels a lot more anger in men, actually. At least from what I've noticed.
These friggin' women are talking about wanting some big old fat bearded country boy that can't see his back.
That's fine, but I shouldn't get shit on when I say I'm not attracted to fat girls and I will not date a fat girl.
This begs the question, what do women want? And what do men think that women want? And more specifically, how does media and movies and TV shows play a huge role in this? And did men kind of just do this to themselves? And these are tricky questions because of how skewed the perception is of what women actually want, And in this case, we're talking about women who like men. When I found out what the male gaze is, I started noticing it all around me. I could not get my mind off of it. I became so hyper aware of what the male gaze was and how I was actually performing for the male gaze without even realizing it. On my channel, I'm pretty open about being fearful of men, hating the occasional man. You know what I mean? I don't dress for a man. I don't look a certain way for a man. I don't act a certain way for a man. But internally, subconsciously, I am, because it's been rooted in most women. The male gaze in media is an illustration of the desires and ideals of men. Even when women are alone, they still feel like they are performing for men. I'll give you an example. I remember one time I was eating in my car. I was eating my sandwich all very daintily. And the way that I was eating and sitting in my car and listening to music was still in a dainty, pretty way. And I was what the fuck am I doing? Why am I even doing this, I felt I couldn't relax. And when I asked my boyfriend about this, or other guy friends that I have, do you ever feel you feel you're being watched by a man at all times and you need to act a certain way? And their answers are no. Ever since I realized that I subconsciously may be performing for a man, especially now as a woman who lives at my own place, I have been trying to kind of disassemble that. I've been trying to unpack it. I've been trying to not do that shit anymore. It's taken a lot of time. And I think that we can blame this on men being the sole writers of women pretty much since media began. Considering that most directors nowadays are still men, most writers are still men. I want to see this change in the future, but because it has been the way that it's been for however many generations, it's ingrained in us. Women are often written in very certain ways. Think of your manic pixie dream girl, which was like so popular in the early 2010s. Thankfully, we've like kind of exited that era. Women were written in a very certain way, overly sexualized, given a nude scene when not necessary, always looking beautiful and dainty, and it's just put these unrealistic expectations for us as women while we're watching women on our screens. But then I also had to remember that men were also written for the big screens by men most of the time. And then I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense why I'm not really attracted to so many men in movies or on TV shows. There's very few, like, you know, John Stamos as Jesse Katsopoulos. But why were men who were like super duper uber conventionally attractive and who were shirtless, ripped, superheroes, why didn't they ever do it for me? As a woman who likes men. Think of your Marvel Cinematic Universe type of men. Think of all the Chris's, however many there is, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, there's a lot. I just never really cared for any of them. However, men who were perceived as more softer and like more in tune with their feminine side and were kind to the female characters, those were the men that I was most attracted to. Take, for example, Ezra Miller's character Patrick in Perks of Being a Wallflower. I know I can't believe that I'm mentioning Ezra Miller in this video, but we're just gonna try and ignore who Ezra Miller is and just focus on their character Patrick instead. Patrick was never shirtless, never sexualized, not written for the female gaze whatsoever. Patrick's only interactions with women were kind and endearing, and the character ended up being gay anyway, yet was still perceived as one of the most attractive characters, at least to me and my female friend group. And I highly doubt that the male director of Perks of Being a Wallflower intended for Patrick to be this extremely attractive character to women. Even though a character like Jesse Katsopoulos, Uncle Jesse from Full House, was definitely written to be attractive to women, he was not because of his asshole-ish, jockey nature, but more so his endearment for loving children and being very soft in that sense and being very sweet to the women around him once he got a bit older. These were the traits that were attractive, not the jockiness or even so much the looks, because you can have the looks and be an asshole and your looks mean absolutely nothing, and everyone has probably heard that a million times. We can think of a modern day Uncle Jesse as Steve Harrington in Stranger Things as being perceived as an extremely attractive character because of how sweet he is to the women around him as he gets older and the children in his life. Real life people examples are Harry Styles, Conan Gray, Timothy Chalamet, because these men can be in touch with their feminine side, not be afraid to show it. Women are attracted to their talent, how they behave to their fans, how they behave in interviews, and thus creating a large woman-led cult-like following. They are a good example of what many women want and men hate them for it. So while I do think that women have been over-sexualized in the media, I also think a lot of men have been over-sexualized in the media as well, mainly to appeal to the female audience. Examples, once again, the Chris's, Magic Mike, even TV shows like Teen Wolf, Outer Banks, Teenage Boys Don't Look Like That. They're always shirtless, they're always super muscular, and look way older than they actually are. I mean, shit, even the new movie Top Gun. And while it looks like these characters have been written by men for women, because it's like, oh, women are primarily the ones who are attracted to these men, at the end of the day, no. These men were written by men for men. And the average male consumer does not even realize it. Most of us probably don't even realize it. Chris Evans being tough and shirtless and looking badass, while many women are still attracted to him, that's not written for a woman. It was actually just written for men to look up to the alpha male. Without even realizing it, men have convinced themselves that this is what they have to look like in order to be considered the ideal man and what women will want. And if they don't look like that, women will not want them. But they're also the creators of the male beauty standards themselves. But they love blaming women for it. A lot of men that I've spoken to have talked about how they go to the gym so that they can be strong and they can be ripped. Sometimes they'll say it's for themselves and health, but a lot of times to also be perceived as more attractive to other women. When that's not what women ask for in the first place. In reality, men will go to the gym, get super ripped, work out a bunch, pull themselves up to these crazy standards, only for mainly men to compliment them. Even think of Miles Teller's character in Top Gun. While plenty of women are swooning over him, he was written by a man for a man. I've talked to so many men in real life who now look up to Miles Teller because they think they need to look like him in order to be perceived as attractive. There will always be women who loved a chiseled masculine man, but a really, really chiseled masculine body is not enough for women to be attracted to you. And as a result of this, a lot of men will actually choose to take out their anger on what women are actually attracted to. Let's talk about the female gaze. It's the same as the male gaze. However, can you guess? It's from the perspective of a woman. Basically, anytime that you've watched a Greta Gerwig movie, it's from the female gaze. Think of a character like Timothée Chalamet, Edward Cullen in Twilight. So why are women attracted to men like this? And might I add, especially the younger generation? My own thinking is that we don't really want to be attracted to men who scare us. We don't want to be overpowered by men anymore. We want men who see us as their equal. We want men who fawn over us, who are dreamboats, who will respect us and other women, who are not going to be assholes to us and have very toxic masculine traits. For me personally, one of the most attractive men to me is Fletcher Shears, who is very comfortable dressing however he pleases, will sometimes put on a long wig and a dress and makeup. And while some men may be like, what the fuck do you see in this dude? I am like, I love a man who is very confident in himself and isn't scared to show a more feminine side to him, dressing how he wants, not caring about how someone may perceive him. And then on top of that is just a gentle, nice person as perceived in interviews and not the scary macho dude. And that's not to say that the female gaze can't have its flaws, because it 100% can, and it does. For example, putting men on a pedestal for doing the smallest things ever and for things they don't even deserve to be put on a pedestal for, and infantilizing men just for simply existing. Think of women calling other men who are like 30 years old small beans and like sensitive little babies. The number one example that comes to mind is Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie Munson. This dude has like a die-hard fan base for him for only having like 20 minutes in the entire show. But I remember seeing a TikTok of him having a conversation with like another woman, like just a very normal, simple conversation. And the comments were like, oh my God, he's such a good listener. He's looking at her in the eye when she speaks. He's so attentive. It's like, he's having a conversation. And we are putting this man on a pedestal for being normal. We don't know what he's like. We have no idea what his personality is truly like. We really don't know. The same way that I don't know what Fletcher Shears is like. But we put men on a pedestal for showing like an ounce of niceness because we're not used to it. Basically, the bar is so low, it's essentially in hell. Becoming apologists for these men, even if they may do something wrong. Teenage girls defending this man to no end, when in reality, he's like a fully equipped adult who is very much so conscious and can make his own decisions and is not the small little innocent being that we may see them as. But it's basically all about our perception of these guys. So we're coming full circle. Why do women like dad bods? A lot of times it's because we seek normalcy. We seek averageness. We don't need a guy who is ripped and chiseled and has a six-pack to be deemed as attractive. A lot of times, we just want a dude who is comfortable in himself and looks like us. But a dad bod may be seen as comforting and not too macho. And I see so many men being angry about women liking dad bods, shitting on them, being very bitter towards this. And it's interesting because at the end of the day, men created these unrealistic standards for themselves. How do we fix this? There needs to be more women writing in media, directing in media. I want to see it now. I'm angry. If you want to be successful towards a female audience, we need to know what women like. And who probably knows it best? Women. Because male directors are missing the point, i.e. Manic Pixie Dream Girls. I could go on a whole tangent about that. And they're also just incorrect about every woman wanting an alpha male. A lot of times, some of the best writing and some of the best episodes and shows and movies are the ones written by women. I love Lady Bird. For the first time, I felt like I could relate to a woman in a movie because it was directed and written by a woman. Think, for example, the one episode in between season 1 and season 2 of Euphoria where Hunter Schafer got to write her own episode for Jules. It was like perceived as one of the best episodes, got such a positive reaction from fans, and she was like never able to do it again. Her writing never made it into season 2, and then people were angry that it flopped because just missed the mark. You wanted to appeal to women, yet you wouldn't let women write. Instead, we just got over-sexualization of Cassie, which none of us really wanted, except maybe men. But most of the time, women were uncomfortable with and were criticizing. So in the future, I want to be able to see more women being able to write, direct, star in these films from our own point of view, rather than from what a man thinks is our point of view. And that's where I think men are just missing the mark. And we do love dad bods. Thank you so much for listening to my little video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please make sure that you leave it a like. Also, leave a comment on any thoughts that you have. Any books, TV shows, movies that were written by the female gaze. I'd love to watch it. I've been watching a lot of movies recently, and it's been very cool. A movie that I think was written for the female gaze is Yes, God, Yes. I just saw that recently. Love it. Highly recommend to any ex-Catholic out there. Make sure that you subscribe if you want to be nasty. If not, you're disgusting. Also, if you want to follow me on my other social media, Instagram, Twitter, Depop, Spotify, it's just at Nicole Rafiee. And if you want to follow me on my TikToks, at Nikki Nasty. I'm gonna go now and await all the angry comments from men down in the comment section. Bye.